My name is Oladuni Patterson, and I just read the book of Geese and Ganders. And to start with, I think I'm a sucker for happy ending. So I think I will start with that. I love the way the book ended. I know it's kind of inconclusive in a way, because of course we didn't know what became of some of the characters, if the reconciliation with their father was final, or was shaky. But notwithstanding, it was looking good already. So you have to pardon me, I didn't really make any notes, so I may be mixing up the characters, but I do know it's even quite hard to say who the main character of the book is. But we could say probably maybe it is Bolema, who is the matriarch of the book, the mother of the 4 girls who got married to, should I call him a misogynist now? Those kind of men who feels that the male child is superior to a female child. And here is this woman, Bolema, who had 4 girls. In fact, she would have loved to stop at 3, but from pressure here and there, she thought maybe she give it another try. She may be fortunate to have a male child. But as the story goes, she gave birth to another baby girl. And because of the hostility from the mother-in-law and the husband, she had to flee. So she traveled to Canada, where she raised the children. So the other 3 girls knew their father, but the last girl never did. She never had that male figure in her life. And so I wouldn't know, maybe that informs the way she reacted, or how she's known online as well, I think some people tag that man-eater or whatever, but she formed a principle around the fact that you really must know what you want from a relationship. And I think she saw marriage as not a do or die affair, as a lot of, let me not be presumptuous, as some people say it. Well, I also like the story of one thing that came out from that story is that the power of prayer. So the woman must have raised the children to really trust in God, even though at some point they all had a falling out, somehow losing trust in the power of what God can do. But each of them individually found their way back to that, and that really helped them in their times of need, when they were really lost and didn't know how to go about what was happening in their lives. All in all, I think it's a great story. I like the way it ended. It's always good that if all stories can end like that, it would be nice. So my take about the book, it's a good write. The writer took a lot of pain in explaining all the vernaculars, so to speak, in the book. So I think that's about it. Probably, maybe if other questions are raised, I may have some points I would like to also inject. But for now, my overall view of the book is I enjoyed it. It's a good read.
Thank you very much, Oladuni. Thank you so much. Welcome. Thank you for joining us, Blessing. Blessing, I'd like to invite you to please share your thoughts on the book of Geese and Ganders.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I didn't care, and sorry, I didn't get the other name. Let me check. Well, for me, it's a very interesting book. I really, really, really enjoyed it. And my take on it is that I like the woman's strength, because it's not every woman. Sorry, I might not be able to start. I think the woman's name is Belema. So I think maybe the names, they seem so familiar, and I can't really point out their names. Sorry about that, but I'll try and explain so that you understand.
Correct.
So I like her faith. I like her
Correct.
strength. She drew strength from her pain. That was one of the things I learned from the book, because despite what she went through in the hands of her mother-in-law and her husband, she was able to pull through. She didn't fail in raising her children. She tried to bring them together, because some instances you see while some women that go through even half of what she went through, they will not be able to meet up, and they'll be able to handle it. Despite the fact that the man really maltreated her because of a male child that she didn't have for him. And she summoned courage. She had to try all she could. She left the shores of the country to Canada, and she settled in doing different jobs and the rest. Again, I learned a lot from her strength. And also, like Oladuni said, she she was able to draw strength from God too. I actually love the way it ended, and it even helped her to forgive her husband on the long run. She knew that it was God actually that made her realize that she needed to forgive the man and move on. When she started having thoughts, I was like, okay, God, if you are really still alive, let me have all my family under one roof. And God made it happen. It even touched me, because I was like, oh God, this can happen even with fiction. I know it can happen in reality. You understand? So it's a good book. It really touched me. It really ministered to me. Let me use that word, because I felt there are a lot of things I wasn't really doing for a while, that oh my God, this is what I should have been doing, and I think I've left that track. I need to go back to it. I really learned a whole lot from the book. So another thing is that that I drew from it is because the book is actually a balanced book. There was a point of the other lady that was the pilot that actually gave up on men at an instant. We were like, she hates men. She got even her write-ups on social media is against men and blah 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 and the likes. But that was not really the case. It was because of what she went through and what she was told, that okay, your dad didn't even see you at birth, he didn't want to even have anything to do with you, and what the mother told her, and she grew up with that, and with that she hated her dad and didn't want to have anything to do with men. But along the line, this certain young man, what's his name again? I've forgotten. Sorry. The certain young man came into her life and was trying to win her love. At the end of the day, she still had love in her, and she let it out. She let down her fears. She opened up her heart, and she actually fell in love again with the guy. And another thing that's actually, let me say, made it look a little bit spiritual, that even got me scared, is the fact that the other daughter was going through the same thing the mother too was going through. So that place too, oh God, I think I have a lot of prayers to do, considering my own personal relationship and things. It's actually made me feel like, oh, if this can, and that the thing is even being replicated in one of the daughter's lives. It's now looking as if it's what people tend to believe to be family thing, like family inheritance or a family trend. But at the end of the day, everything was sorted out. The woman was reconciled to God, because she actually felt God was against her. And she actually deserted God, that God, if you were alive, all what happened to her wouldn't have happened. But God still spoke to her even in her pain. She was able to draw strength, she was able to go back to God, dedicate her life to God, and ask just some request, and which God granted at that point. And that answer to prayer what reunited our family again. Our only wish that she had always wanted came to pass. So in all, it's a very interesting book, and I would even like to read more books like that. Honestly, in fact I could not drop it. That's a fact. I couldn't drop the book. I was busy working and doing other things. I'll pick my phone again. I'll be going through and say, how many pages are remaining until the book. If I finish reading the book. It's a very interesting book, and I commend the writer. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your feedback, Oladuni and Blessing. And yes, I guess I'll go with mine. I am actually not fully done with the book, with all of my shakara. I'm actually on I'm on page 120 right now. And it's good
Okay.
to still start. So for me, I'm still enjoying the book. I'm taking it as swiftly as possible. I know. So first, to answer the first the last, or to address the last thing you said, the author has many other books in her kitty. I'll be happy to share her links with you so you can check out which ones you want to buy and read for yourself. And you can
All right.
also recommend in the book anyway which one else you feel we should read.
All right.
So,
Thank you.
when I started reading this book and I saw the story of about how she had another daughter, already like, oh God, no, it's not going to be all of those stories where we are reading about a woman that had only daughters and she's suffering through it and all of that. So I think I left her decision at the time to step away from all of it. Because, particularly for us Christian women, there's just this thing of, oh, just stay there and continue to more or less soak in abuse. And it affects the kids. That's what I believe. It affects the kids. We don't like to talk about it, but sometimes I'm planning to write a book on polygamy, and I reached out to people and asked people that have such experiences, either as the kids or the people that are married to polygamous men or women, to share their stories. And one of the stories I heard, as in, it was like there was no concern for the kids in making all of these decisions that were made. So one thing I want to say that I'm kind of proud of Belema that she considered her kids and she took decisions that were good for them. They may have been hard for her, but she took decisions for her kids that she can look back and say, yes, I'm glad I took this decision at the time. And I guess part of the issue is that we need to pray that God will give us the strength to be able to take the hard decisions at the right time when they are needed, not the popular decisions, but the ones that need to be done. So, of course, I'm like, oh, how sweet that she was able to just go to Canada, because obviously, if she stayed back in Nigeria, it would have been an even harder decision to make, because there'll be family and friends to influence her and try to get her to go back to her husband. And the way we are, the way we don't mind if people are dying inside, for as long as they look good on the outside and they tick our boxes. We don't really want to know whether the marriage is working or whether one person is dying in there or not. So that decision for me, I feel like she may not have gone about it in the most perfect way, but she took that. It was a life-altering decision, because if she had stayed back, her 4 kids, her 4 daughters, I think they would have been far more damaged than they eventually were. And then that leads me to Ibiso, the first child. It's always easy for kids to idolize the parent that is not present. So, it was easy for her to feel like, oh, her mother took away her relationship with her father and all of that. But I'm glad that she eventually got to see in real life, as because when you're the kid, you're thinking, oh, she should have been able to manage this. She should have been. I remember while I was younger, I had a neighbor that her husband was a great man, but her in-laws were trouble. They were just trouble. They would come into the house. They would always come. They were like a pain in the neck. And also, at some point, she said she wanted to start traveling to get goods and coming to Nigeria to sell. So she went the first time. She came back. She went the second time. She came back. By the third time, she didn't come back again. She left her 6 kids with the husband and the family members that won't stop coming to their house. She left them to take care of the kids. I know she was sending money, and they were still married. And eventually she set it up so that all the kids went outside the country. So all of the kids live outside the country now. And now she shuttles between the country and the country she relocated to. And then eventually the husband went to meet with her, and then two of them were doing the work travel thing until the man passed on. And so, you know, when I was younger, when she left her kids, I used to feel like, man, this woman is hard, very harsh. You know, it was very easy to judge and go like, oh, I will never do this thing. I will never. You know, all those I will never. I don't think it's. you know, we always when you're not in the situation, you always have the best solutions. I know we judge harshly, but now with the benefit of hindsight, now that I have grown up, I've gotten married, I've seen some of the challenges. I can empathize now. So I think that's what happened to Ibiso. It was easy for her at the time to feel like, well, whatever it is that her dad was doing to her mom should have endured it because she had a good relationship with her father. And I feel like that's speaking to many of us. We find it easy to judge others when we haven't walked in their shoes. So I think Ibiso's character spoke to me a bit on that. Then for Danielle, I think Danielle was the engineer, the engineer that was required, that got the promotion she was really looking for, but then it came with relocation. I'm still at the point where she was angry with her husband for not being so supportive. And I realized that many of us women, we are like that. I was actually even in a meeting today where this kind of came up. We we want people to support us, but we don't want to step into their shoes and look at it because uh, Daniel's concern is, oh, I don't want to relocate because of my mom. And then so the husband is asking, what about me? What about our kids? And she's like, oh, she just assumed they were going to move with her to wherever she wants to go to. And many times the conflicts we have come from all of those types of assumptions. We don't expect the other person to have the expectations, and then we get upset that this person is not looking at it from my perspective. I feel like when we step out and we try to imagine Danielle was the one that was in Harry's shoes, and Harry comes and is talking about how he doesn't want to relocate because of his own mom's health, and he says nothing about her or the kids. Um, I don't think she will feel good about it, but I think she was blindsided. She didn't see it in his perspective. She just saw it as though he wasn't being supportive. And I've heard that over and over again, where when you're looking just from your own prison, you feel like the other person is being insensitive or being unsupportive, whatever. But by the time you step out of whatever place you're in, and you step into the other person's shoes, you can then see what the person is trying to say, and it makes it easier. So I haven't finished reading the book, as I said, but I'm glad that it has a happy ending. And I was really happy to hear Blessing say that the book ministered to her because I believe that we need to invest a lot in books that people can read and find direction, find hope. Because just as a diversion, my daughter was 10 years old last week and she got a couple of gifts. And one of the gifts she got was like a pack of books. And it was books about magic and wizardry and all of that. And we keep saying that we want to get people to start reading, but what's the quality of books we are putting out there? What are people actually reading? So I'm happy that we have books like this that we can read and they will still steer us in the direction that we should be going. They're steering us back to God. So for me, that's one of the other things I love about the book. The fact that the thing, it addresses a deep thing particularly in the Nigerian space where the girl child is considered inferior to the boy child. I don't believe that the woman is inferior to the man. I just believe that God has given us our individual strengths and roles and places, and we should all stay where we were ought to be. No child should be discriminated against because of his or her gender. nobody should be cut out from opportunities because of their gender. But I think everyone should also understand that each gender has their roles and responsibilities, strengths and weaknesses. And also, there's also the part of individuals within the gender. We need to be careful not to generalize and say women are strong or women are weak, men are strong, men are weak. We have individuals with their individual strengths and weaknesses. Thank you very much. So does anyone have any particular question they feel like you can address, or is there anything you want to ask anybody that is on this call? Hello, can you still hear me? Okay, Oladuni, please raise your hands. Sorry, please unmute.
I don't have
Okay, please.
anything. I
Okay.
don't have any question.
It's really not a question per se. I don't know. I think Leslie made mention of something, and I think we all have that thing in common. I just want us to really chew more on that, and that's the character of Ibiso being the first child and first daughter. I am a first daughter too, and I have this special bond with my father. Here is my concern: the fact that what the mother went through, she also had a similar experience with her husband. Is like history repeating itself, and this is something that I kind of discussed with my siblings. I don't know, is there something about that thing? I don't know. I don't want to mystify it, honestly, because I hate superstition, and I really don't like anything that appears to be mystery, because most often than not, there's this dark thing behind anything called mystery. So is it about decisions people make? What is really responsible for that history repeating itself? Is it that people are not learning from the mistake, or we are not really talking that much about it? For example, now, I want to believe that my generation raising children now believes in sorosoke, talking to your children, allowing them to express themselves. But basically, we were not raised that way, and we felt it was wrong of our parents not to do that. I'm thinking maybe is that what is responsible? Because there are some things that I learned from my mother that I didn't know of long ago when I was growing up, and I'm like, Mommy, how could you have made this kind of decision? You shouldn't have. But of course, the orientation in which they were brought up is quite different from what we have right now. Could that be what is responsible for, history repeating itself, or is there something else?
Do you want to go? Do you want to?
Well, yes, let me just say one or two things about what Nancy pointed out. When I was reading that book, I said it to that. It's actually that part actually touched me. I'm not a first daughter, but it's kind of okay. No, my own case. Let me just okay, fine. Something like that, like what is happening to me presently. I just felt like, God, I don't want it to happen to my daughter. Do you understand? That was what touched me. But like Oladuni said, it happens. And just like she mentioned, I don't want to make it a big thing, fight like, okay, this is maybe it's a trend, or that's how it used to be, family history and the rest of it, because a lot happens. There are a lot of factors that contribute to stuff like that. But in this case, without sounding spiritual, so religious, I'm trying to create a balance right now. I think there are different factors that contributed to it. In the first instance, it was the husband that was reacting just like our own father. What's that name? The first daughter's father. But in this case, it was not because she had girls like her mother, but because she could not. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
I can.
Okay, fine.
Can you hear me?
But in
Can
this
you hear
case,
me?
Yes, I can. I can hear you clearly. It's because she could not really have a child, and I think that's part of and the husband lost his job. I think that's part of the reason why the husband was misbehaving. But at some point, the husband picked up. So I don't want to believe that thing is like a family history for her. Do you understand? Because I read so many things to it. I feel it's because the husband lost his medical license, and the husband lost his medical license, and he felt okay. He was less of a man at that point in time, that point in his life, and he felt okay. She was the only one working, making money. Probably she's seen other men, blah blah blah, and stuff like that, which most men does when you're in such situation. So in this regard, I don't think it's has to do with family history. If you ask me, it's only if the guy's father did the same thing and he is now replicating it that way, I can now say, okay, maybe. But in this case, it's the woman's father that actually left them and stuff like that, maltreated the mother, and is now replicating even in her own marriage. So I think that one is other factors. But without dragging it or without trying to lengthen my or talk too much, I don't really know why it happens. I'm trying to deviate from the book now. It happens just like Oladini mentioned. Most times, if something happened in a particular family, the trend kind of continues into the other family. And talking, Africans now believe in spirituality and stuff like that. We could say, but now I'm trying to read my mind off those things. So I don't want to actually believe it. So in this case now, I feel it's what was happening to the man at that time that prompted him to start acting up, because at the point he realized himself. He tried to come back to the woman and say he's sorry and all that. Not until when the message came, maybe inferiority complex crept in again, and the guy misbehaved, and she had to call the cops on him and stuff like that. So maybe Adenike will help us shed more light on it and try to hit the nail on the head on the question that Olajimi asked.
Thank you. Oladini, do you have any final thoughts?
Yes, I think I've mentioned my final thought. I like the book. It's a good read. And the fact that it came to a nice conclusion. It's like everybody's going to have their happy ending. That makes me happy.
I'm happy you're happy. So I'm going to end this recording, but please don't leave. We are still here. I just want to stop, then we'll start again.
All right.
I'll tell you why I'm stopping when I finish.